welcome to another video on the GMLS system, the geomagnetic lines. We're going to be looking at earthquakes tonight. I've done a little bit of an animation. Obviously I'm getting really fan on these things, as you might well tell. We are going to be looking at the month of March between the 15th of March coming right through to now. We'll run it through the GMLS and see what the lines are telling us is going on. We will finish with a look at today's earthquakes. We are the 23rd today, well, the evening of the 23rd, we're practically the 24th, and to see whether we can not predict any earthquakes in the next coming days, in accordance to the rhythms that we will be looking at in this video here. Just to give you an idea of what I've been doing, you can go back and look at a video I did which was concerning the X-flare on the 25th of February this year, and here's an extract from it where I actually predict some earthquakes, and I've got to say they actually got bang on. I was only 2.5 hours out in time, but the size, magnitude and placings was spot on. But where's the connecting dots in all of this? So let's get this all down on the GMLS map. Here we have Oklahoma. It's caught between the male lines of the yellow and the light blue, and the female lines of the green and the red. Just before the solar flare, we had a transfer of the earthquake swarm down onto the Carlsberg Ridge, which is just there. Right bang on the blue line, really. But that's strange. We've got the same blue, yellow, red and green. Is there something in that? Let's just have a quick look where the solar flare hit. Bang on the green line going from east to west, so basically the thrust through the system is causing a little bit of a blockage over the Alaskan Ridge at the moment, where we've had an increase of earthquakes. I don't think there's going to be a major earthquake. If there will be, we'll be looking at the northern part of Japan into the Alaskan Ridge, and I think that's probably going to be hitting that part of the area around about midnight tonight. That's the 26th, or just into the early hours of the 27th. So I think that'll probably be a 6.2 just south west of the Alaskan Ridge, heading towards Japan. So I was pretty chuffed with that. I'm actually getting it spot on. We do have a problem with timing in this, and that's all to do with the animation of the GMLS, which we are gradually getting our heads around, and I thank Rachel for any help she's been chucking my way. But just getting back to the X-flare and the earthquakes situations, as I was saying, that there was a build-up on the Alaskan Ridge. Now this is actually quite important, because this, and as I was stated in GMLS in a nutshell, I also stated when I was on the BBC Radio South today with Mike Powell, going on about how that there is a transfer in seasons from earthquakes from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, and this is what we're experiencing at the moment. The power is coming back to the northern hemisphere as it were in full blast, and which will transfer the earthquakes gradually more and more sort of south. And for those who did look at the other video on the X-flare and also on the earthquake results, you can see that there is very few actually kicking off in South America, and this all sort of changes, which we can see in this animation. So follow the blue dot. If I was you, I would whack the image up to full screen. It's easier to see the dots. Do enjoy. Hope you managed to see the blue dot sequence. As I said, we are learning in this process of trying to animate these lines so it becomes clearer for people to see what's going on with this energy. And don't forget, this energy is the prana energy, which makes everything exist. And so we should have at least one eye on this, I think, as we go through life. So let's just go through the earthquakes one by one, well, by section really. In the late evening, just before the 16th, we started getting our first earthquakes really kicking into Chile. And this started the Chile swarm of earthquakes with interruptions in Indonesia on the 17th and also in Japan. But in general, they were hitting all day long in Chile and in Peru, with the heaviest day being the 17th of March, with this build-up in Chile, in South America, and the intermittent Asian earthquakes, which finally pushed it over into earthquakes into China, which destabilized the system a little bit, which opened the doors up in Vietnam and El Salvador as the trickle from Chile started to build up through the red line. But as the transfers happened, the Alaskan Ridge has opened the doors, dropping the energy right back down, jolting the yellow line and hitting a lot later on in Indonesia and Southeast Asia, really. The release of this energy, I think, came on the 18th with the earthquake that was recorded in Greece on the 18th, and then also slightly after that in Iran later on in that day, which basically is allowing for this overflow of this energy coming into Southeast Asia before it started building up again, and we started getting more and more in Japan and Indonesia and Papua New Guinea, Thailand, overflow into Afghanistan. There was a couple of hits down in Chile as the South American red line tries to come back, but the South American line had to wait till the crossover, which is the transfer from the Alaskan Ridge now down into the southern Atlantic Oceans, where there was on the 19th in the Visayas Islands, which is between South America and South Africa, and that started splitting the vibration as it rattles through Asia into Indonesia and Papua New Guinea, and they got a really good swarm going on through to the 20th, when El Salvador, which is pretty much on the equator, it's not too far off, and Nicaragua started to equalize the zones. But if you look carefully, Nicaragua and El Salvador is bang on that light blue line. Our old friends are back, disrupting the flow on the red and the solid blue line, as we've been talking about in the past in animal deaths and stuff like that, which we will be looking at that in a second, because I think that's quite interesting as well, the connection that it has a little bit with the earthquake swarms and stuff like that. Once that break had gone through, there was an upbuild through Papua New Guinea, Indonesia and Philippines, just to the moment where we had the 6.5 southeast of Mohine, India, which is actually southeast of actual mainland India. And then it just got pummeled, this area here, with earthquake after earthquake through the entire day, with a couple of hits in Mexico. Occasionally the Indian earthquakes were overflowing, and we had one in China, and also north of India, and also one in Uzbekistan, as that kept as that was also part of the overflow and the coming back. And then we had the north of Japan as it builds back up and trying to force back against the Alaskan Ridge this time now. Before we had the last one back down in India. Let's just take off the writing, and there we go. We can see this perfectly now, the clustering of earthquakes in South America and the transfer window between the red and the blue line, the solid blue line in South America and Chile. Then we have the transfer points over in Asia, where we have the solid blue line and the yellow line, which has been blocking a lot and taking a lot of things up through into Japan and etc. The blue line has been able to break through a few times, dropping a few earthquakes up into China, Uzbekistan, and even forcing the dotted blue line to actually make a earthquake in Greece. Funny that, there's that build up again. A bit like that video I did on the Malaysian flight 370. And also, funnily enough, getting back to it, the animal deaths. So let's just bring the animal deaths back into play, and I'll let you realise what is actually going on. As you can see, as the map from the animal deaths that I did according to the GMLS starts coming into play, we're getting the same build-ups in exactly the same places. Look at that, as it sits over Southeast Asia, and then we start getting the Chile hits over there. We're getting a few into Northern America, but a few into Europe, but it's, look at as it changes back, and you see the yellow dots and the earthquakes coming back into play. It's all pretty much sitting over the same places, and this is all part of the whole pole shift theory that I've been gradually unveiling, as it were. It's a lot of information. Getting our heads around it is actually pretty difficult. I will be bringing out a video on GMLS pole shift in the near future. I'm working on it at this present second, and that will be out shortly. But the Earth actually does a pole shift regularly. I would actually say once a year, but not on the surface in the way that you'd look through your compass and you'd see where the north is and etc. But within the inner, within itself, and it's a transfer of concentrated power or concentrated vibrations within the lines through the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, and the double torus in the second level of the GMLS system. So what we can see is the increasing value of the yellow line, which is the balance line, and the reason we're getting increased value in the balance line is because the shift is there. It is moving from south to north, and it has been doing it over the last 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years. And you can see that in GMLS in a nutshell, or the ebb and the flow of the system. I think it's in that as well on my website. So if we can start understanding the whole idea of the interactions between these lines, maybe we can actually preempt a lot of things, which we're going to try and do now. Right, we're over at USGS, and we've got the earthquakes here. You can see down the bottom here, which is from the 21st in the very early hours of the morning in Japan. The first thing we should really look at, I have put in a filter on the research here, which is had earthquakes from 3.5 magnitude and upwards, basically. and I've chosen the day from the beginning of the 23rd going through to the beginning of the 24th. We are presently at this time 25 minutes past midnight UTC time, so we're just into the 24th. So we got the first one in Japan, then we got Philippines, New Guinea, Fiji, and then Fiji gets quite a little bit of a couple of aftershocks. Our old friend Chile coming back into play. Back over to the Tonga area. Greece still active. Obviously the light blue line still getting a little bit pinched. Back to Chile. And then we've got that flow back on to Afghanistan. And then Colombia, bringing it up there. And this is the oddball one, is back up there in the northern Canada, 4.8, very, very high up. You know, it's not that they don't get earthquakes up there, they do, you know what I mean, but it's quite interesting to note that, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. Papua New Guinea, and then we're back onto the Chilean hot snagging rocking thing with a 6 there earlier on today, or earlier on yesterday now, at 7:20 UTC time. That's UK time pretty much. And then they got the aftershocks that are still rattling on down there, and then the one break off in Nicaragua, which is the light blue line again. So that'll be if we look at now, if we're looking to see what earthquakes we think we're going to be getting, we've been getting the Chilean collection again, you know, and the solar flares. There's nothing going on in solar flares. There's nothing really been going on the day before. There was a few C classes, but nothing really to disturb the system, to be honest. So I think honestly we're going to get more of the same. Just to quickly show you the North Pole we've got here, just to say, to confirm that sort of earthquake that happened in the north of Canada. It's actually sitting right on the brow of the yellow line, which is the connection between the energy coming in and out of the system. So as the light spotted blue line, which goes through Mexico, Nicaragua, and all of that sort of area there, and comes back down through Greece where we've been hitting things, I think we're still going to get stalling down in Chile, down in Peru area. But this time I think it's going to move up and confront the blue line a little bit, the light blue line a little bit harder, and you might well get earthquakes in the West Indies, or also in Mexico. The other point of focus I think is going to be in southern Japan going through to Indonesia, looking at where the yellow line is at the moment of north of Australia. I think within the Caribbean and the north part of Southern America, you're probably looking at something around about the 6.1 mark, and in Japan going through to Asia, you're probably looking at a little bit less, probably around about 5.8, 5.9, and I would have thought that's going to be coming up within the next sort of 24 hours. So something to look out for, see what's happening on the GMLS. Please feel free to subscribe, go back and see the in GMLS in a nutshell, sorry, and also the thing on the X-Flare, give you a little bit more idea of the sort of things we're talking about. But in the meantime, love from me to you and your crew.